No intro for this one because this is a story that I don't look forward to talking about, but I feel like it's important to share it. If you guys don't know this, I have a bit of a history with a Kotaku writer by the name of Jason Schreier. But since, in the last few years, since we put that history behind us, I've actually become a mega fan of his today. So I follow him on Twitter, and I saw some tweets about an article he wrote today about the state of Anthem and the state of Bioware. And I want to share that article with you, and I want to share the fallout that has happened because we've actually seen now Bioware taking shots at Kotaku and at Jason Schreier. It's a whole mess, so I want to show you this. This morning, Jason Schreier posted on Kotaku this article called How Bioware's Anthem Went Wrong. And I highly recommend you read this article for yourself because it goes on to talk about some tremendous mismanagement that this game has experienced. He starts off the article by saying it wasn't even supposed to be called Anthem just days before the annual E3 convention in 2017 when the studio would reveal its newest game. The plan had been to go with a different title. Beyond. They'd even printed out Beyond t-shirts. But the folks at Electronic Arts said it would be too difficult to get a trademark on the word Beyond, so they changed it to Anthem instead. Such a major last-minute upheaval might seem strange to an outside observer, he said, but on Anthem, it was very common. Later on, they came up with an explanation for the name. The game's planet was enveloped by something called the Anthem of Creation, a powerful, mysterious force that left environmental cataclysms around the world. So that's not even what the game was supposed to be back in 2017. And he goes on to address some of the speculation fans have had about this game. Was it originally a single-player game that got moved into a multiplayer title? Did EA force BioWare to make it a Destiny clone? Did they strip out all of the good missions to sell later as downloadable content? Is the loot system secretly driven by an elaborate AI that keeps track of everything you do so it can get you to spend more money on the game? Well, apparently the answer to all of those questions is no. Jason apparently interviewed 19 different people who either worked on the game or worked adjacent to it and said that it is a story of indecision and mismanagement. He says it's a story of technical failings, of EA's Frostbite engine continuing to make life miserable for many of the developers, and understaffed departments struggling to serve their team's needs. It's a story of two studios, one in Edmond and one in Austin, Texas, that grew resentful towards one another thanks to a tense, lopsided relationship, and it's a story of a video game that was in development for nearly 7 years but didn't enter production until the final 18 months thanks to big narrative reboots, major design overhauls, and a leadership team said to be unable to provide a consistent vision and unwilling to listen to feedback. Now, say what you will about Kotaku, say what you will about Jason Schreier. Lord knows I have said plenty about both. But this is some old school scathing journalism. I mean, this is an expose. I haven't seen anything like this in gaming journalism in a decade. I mean, this is amazing work. So I love this article. It appears that the studio had been in crisis because dozens of developers, many of them decade-long veterans, left BioWare over the last couple of years, and many say that their coworkers had to take what they called a stress leave, a doctor-mandated period of weeks or even months worth of vacation for their mental health. People were so angry and sad all the time. Depression and anxiety are an epidemic within BioWare. Now, I'm going to point out here that I know a lot of developers, and this is not uncommon. It's not that uncommon in an office setting where people are getting worked very, very hard and underpaid in the process. But it is way more common in the gaming industry because these people tend to be extremely overworked and extremely underpaid for whatever reason. It has always been gaming development culture. It makes sense if you're an indie developer and you are setting your own hours and making your own work, but for some reason, these big companies, almost all of them, tend to work their workers almost to near death sometimes. One of the developers who've left the company said that there were a bunch of stress casualties. He said that what a stress casualty was someone who had such a mental breakdown from the stress they were under, they would just be gone for 1 to 3 months. And some would come back, and some just never did. And according to this article, this is just how it's been at BioWare ever since Dragon's Age Inquisition. Apparently, the third Dragon Age, which won Game of the Year at 2014 Game Awards, was the result of a brutal production process plagued by indecision and technical challenges. And some of the people in Edmonton were so burnt out they were hoping the game would fail in order for people to realize that this is not the right way to make games. If you are rooting for your own game to fail because it was so horribly mismanaged and so horribly produced, It only makes sense that the next few games you make are also going to be miserable experiences to work on. And it's not a big surprise that Mass Effect Andromeda and now Anthem were both failures, because I can't imagine your heart would be in on that. You would want those games to fail purposely. You might even go as far as to sabotage that stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened to these games. Now, the article goes on for like 5,000 words, explaining in great detail exactly what caused Mass Effect Andromeda to fail, exactly what caused Anthem to fail, and I'll allow you to read that for yourself. I've retweeted it on my Twitter. You can find it on Jason Schreier's Twitter, and you can find it on the Kotaku website, and it's a really interesting read. I mean, stuff like this, where the developers who were working on the game were saying things like, we didn't understand the game concept. When Anthem was presented to us, it was never really clear what the game was. Was it supposed to be an online shooter like Destiny, or was it more of a role-playing game? How did you get around the world? How would the missions even work? I mean, the people who were working on this game were confused by the vision of the game. Another really choice bit is where they said there were so many server issues, they weren't able to work on the games for an entire week once, and that they were also forced to test their levels out offline, which was weird because the missions were built for 4 people. But that's not what I want to focus on here. I think the most important part about this is the culture at Bioware, the culture at companies that EA owns, the mismanagement, and the overwork status. I think that's the most important thing here, and I'm so glad that these developers are speaking out about it. So I wanted to take this video to signal boost that, because I think it's really important we understand the culture of these gaming companies when we're giving them our money. Now, what's really interesting about all of this is that the folks at Bioware were tipped off that this article was coming out, so they actually posted a response to this article that was clearly written, at least according to Jason Schreier, before they even had a chance to read his article. But I still want to take a look at it anyways. They basically say, we'd like to take a moment to address an article published this morning about Bioware and Anthem's development. First and foremost, we wholeheartedly stand behind every current and former member of our team that worked on the game, including the leadership. It takes a massive amount of effort, energy, and dedication to make any game, and making Anthem would not have been possible without every single one of their efforts. We choose not to comment or participate in this story because we felt there was an unfair focus on specific team members and leaders who did their absolute best to bring this totally new idea to fans. We didn't want to be part of something that was attempting to bring them down as individuals. We respect them all, and we built this game as a team. Now, here I actually agree with Bioware. I don't think you should attack the individuals involved. Attack the position they held. Attack if they are the manager of the game, if they are the game's director, the game's developer, then attack that position, not the individual person on Twitter. And if that person turns out to be incompetent, then you look at the person that hired them. You look at their boss and why they didn't do something about it. And when you finally get to the top, when you're talking about the CEO over there at EA, then yeah, go ahead and be mad at the CEO. That's different. But when it comes to the individual developers, leave the developers alone. I don't like slinging crap at individuals, but it's okay to be mad at the game, and it's okay to be mad at the company. We put a great emphasis on our workplace culture in our studios. The health and well-being of our team members is something we take very seriously. We have built a new leadership team over the last couple of years, starting with Casey Hudson as our GM in 2017, which has helped us make big steps to improve studio culture and our creative focus. We hear the criticisms that were raised by the people in the piece today, and we're looking at that alongside feedback that we received in our internal team surveys. We put a lot of focus on better planning to avoid crunch time, and it was not a major topic of feedback in our internal postmortems. Making games, especially a new IP, will always be one of the hardest entertainment challenges. We do everything we can to try and make it healthy and stress-free, but we also know there's always room to improve. Yeah, it definitely seems like there's room for improvement based on Jason's article and the 19 people that spoke about the nightmare that your studio currently is. Yes, there's a lot of room for improvement, and I'm glad that they recognize that. I mean, give them credit for this. As much as this seems like damage control, at least this did make them aware of the problem. As a studio and a team, we accept all criticisms that will come our way for the games we make, especially from our players. The creative process is often difficult. The struggles and challenges of making video games are very real, but the reward of putting something we created into the hands of our players is amazing. People in this industry put so much passion and energy into making something fun. We don't see the value in tearing down one another or one another's work. We don't believe articles that do that are making our industry and our craft better. And ooh, I have issues with that. This article is not about tearing down Bioware. This article is about making Bioware better. It's about calling them out on the issues they have, calling them out on the problems they have, and making them fix them so that they can make better games and create a better work environment and make a better company overall. This is not about tearing Bioware down. This is about building Bioware back up because it definitely needs it. It sounds like you can't tear it down much more than it already is. Jason's article is the definition of constructive criticism. It's not a hateful YouTube comment. It is not a hateful post on Reddit just filled with people mudslinging and smearing names. This is an actual useful article that other developers can read and the folks at Bioware can also read and hopefully use to build a better blueprint for a better company to make better games. I really think Jason's in the right here. They close by saying, our full focus is on our players and continuing to make Anthem everything it can be for our community. Thank you to our fans for your support. We do what we do for you. Well, then I'm going to politely ask you as a fan to stop doing it. You need to do better. You need to be better. You need to create a better work environment and you need to make better games. Stop doing what you're currently doing and get it right and do it for your fans. So I think this is just as important as the rumors we heard about Rockstar. In this case, we got 19 developers just explaining exactly what happened. And I think the article is very, very much worth your time. And I think Jason Schreier has done the right thing here by exposing that. But that is one man's opinion. I could be wrong. And I know if I am wrong, you guys are going to let me know in the comments section below. And I appreciate it if you guys do. While you're down there, hit subscribe if you like this video. If you want to see more videos like it, hit that notification bell. Drop a like on this video. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon. And to the developers over there at Bioware who I've spoken to, I'm going to slide into your DMs today. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Good luck. We love you very much. We'll speak with you again soon.